welcome to Bitches of Horror.
And today we're going to talk about the documentary Scream Queen, My Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yes.
Yes, and we saw it at the Monsters of Film Festival.
Yep, and it's from 2019, directed by Roman Cimienti and Tyler Jensen from the United States, and starring most of the people from Nightmare on Elm Street too,
Yeah.
including Mark Patton, David Chaskin, Robert Englund, and so on and so on.
Yeah, and this documentary follows Mark Patton, the leading man in Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2,
Mm-hmm.
because he kind of disappeared from the show business like for a long time, like was it 20 years or something, and then he reappeared again, and he tells his story about everything that happened like before he got the film and then after what happened with the whole gay debacle surrounding the film, and then how his life has been afterwards and stuff like that.
Yes. Jack Shoulder as well, the director of Nightmare on Elm Street 2, is also in it.
Yeah.
Um,
And he was actually, because they showed this documentary and they showed A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2 at the festival, and Jack was there. So it was very cool.
yeah, and they had a talk about queer and horror
Yes.
connections
Yes.
right after the show.
Yeah, and we
The show,
also
the film.
Yeah, and we also interviewed Jack Shoulder, so you should watch the interview.
Yes. Anyways, very interesting documentary.
Yeah, it is, because like I had heard like the articles and things that was said about this film,
Yeah.
the Part 2, but I had no idea how it affected Mark and like everyone around him, and that he had like disappeared for such a long time. I had no idea about
me
that
neither.
story, so it was very interesting, because he like talks about a lot of problems in the industry at that time and still, and it was very interesting and also sad.
Yeah.
Very sad about how he was treated and like things going on internally and with other people. So it was like I learned a lot.
Yeah.
I did.
I mean, this film, the second film was made during the sort of AIDS epidemic thing where people all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, but people who were maybe, not really for the queer scene, when the AIDS epidemic came out, they kind of like totally boycotted it, and it had a big impact on the film industry, I think, and the entertainment industry in general, but also in Mark Patton's life.
Yeah.
And I like how the documentary kind of shows the rough side that he had, but also his sort of sassy, bitchy side, if I can say that. Yeah. Because there are some scenes you're like, ooh, you're kind of bitchy in some points. Like he's very...
I really liked when he did the drag thing where they're like presenting A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2 and like playing with the idea, but like in drag, and like he comes and he's enjoying it and he's doing his own thing, and it was a very playful side of him.
Yeah. It shows like all the different levels of him, like not only the nice, like sad or, happy, it's like all his sides of who he is and for him to be himself, what it took to get there.
Exactly, because he disappeared for such a long time, and he like basically like it was after this film, like, and he didn't really want anything to do with it because it basically kind of ruined his career, so to speak. But now he's kind of like embracing it more again, going to conventions and meeting fans and stuff like that. So, and it really depicts like what it took for him mentally to get to that point.
Yeah. And David Chaskin, the man who wrote the film, he's not portrayed in the best light, but also he seems like sort of a dick, so it was probably meant that way, and it probably is that way. I don't know him personally, but the way he kind of was, the way he talked, kind of
Yeah.
a bit shady person.
Because like this film, the whole thing about this film was that it was labeled as the gayest film that's ever made.
Now, yeah.
Yeah, and that was like the big issue because it affected like Mark and it affected a lot of people in a very negative way. So and
it wasn't meant to be that.
No, it
I
wasn't
mean, well,
meant
it
to
was.
be,
This is the thing.
Yeah,
It wasn't meant to be, but someone thinks that he put it in there. Like Jack Shoulder didn't realize that it was gay.
At
he
all.
says, but everyone thinks that David Chaskin
Like,
wrote it as a
yeah.
gay film, and I think that he wrote it as a sort of anti-gay film. This is what the theory is, but it kind of got turned into a like pro-gay film.
Yeah.
So this is a very iconic film for the gay community.
That was the other thing
Yeah.
that was so amazing because a lot of like teenager like boys during this time who were like not comfortable with their own sexual identity or like afraid of coming out, like they saw this film as a film to turn to, which like gave them like comfort and like gave them confidence to be themselves. And
Yeah.
it was so amazing to see how like Mark's character had like infected them.
Yeah.
Like just
I think that's an important thing in general in horror to kind of go outside the box. And it's the same with, I know that Jeremiah said in Candyman that before Candyman, he was never afraid of horror films because the only people who died and got killed were basically rich white people. But then Candyman came and he's killing people in the projects where he's from, and you know it kind of tables turn. But then they're all of a sudden represented. The same way in Scream Queen, where Mark Patton, you know, maybe wasn't supposed to play a gay character, but kind of did, and now all of a sudden all of these men and boys are seeing themselves portrayed in this film, and it kind of feels, you know, then you get that connection.
yeah, that you have someone to look up to that you can relate with.
Yeah.
Like he's like me.
Yeah.
And it's okay.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And that they really show that well, and they interview a lot of fans and people who have been, you know, inspired and touched by the film. I mean, it's hilarious, some of the scenes in it. I love when, you know, when he's like, we're trying to back up and like closing his drawer and dancing. Yeah. And it is a very strange film, like, but it captivates you so much. It's so over the top in a way, but
and
I must admit, the first time I saw it, I didn't like it at all. But the more I watch it, even before I knew it was a gay film.
Like when I first saw it, I had no idea.
No, but I didn't either. And even the second time I saw it, I was like, I didn't really think about it as that. But then when it came out, this whole like thing about it being gay, it was like, oh,
yeah.
like,
then you saw like all these things.
Yeah.
But I was also like, I'm like, this is a male lead. He's like not the final girl. He's like the final guy.
Yeah.
Like it's cool.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah. I think it broke a lot of boundaries, and
maybe like people weren't ready for that at that time.
Yeah.
But I mean, I like it more now.
Good. My thing is better. I like it when things aren't ready for its time. It's like, yeah. And I think it's, you know, it's thanks to Mark Patton, and
it is.
And they have this sort of reunion at the end with the with the Nightmare on Elm Street 2 actors, and it's I like how it tells the story and then kind of closes it off. It ties it off. This is a good freaking important thing in documentaries. I hate when documentaries just like, bleh, and then you're just like, okay, well, was there a meaning? Like yeah, but this one like really closes it off. I love it.
You felt that besides all these like strong things and important subjects, it really had a purpose. It was going somewhere. Yeah, and then.
Great ending. Yeah. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too.
9 out of 10.
9 out of 10.
Yeah.
It's an important documentary. It is.
Yeah. And if you're a Nightmare on Elm Street fan, then you need to check it out.
Yes.
Which you must be, because if not, then why are you watching us?
Exactly.
Anyway, stay horrific.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.